Hello, I'm Mercedes Stephenson, and this is the West Block, Politics, Perspectives, and Players. As the crisis in Venezuela intensifies, President Nicolas Maduro has been refusing to allow desperately needed aid into that country. Canada has recognized opposition leader Juan Guaido as the legitimate president. Last week, members of the Lima Group met here in Ottawa and called for free and fair elections to be held soon. But the situation could get much worse before it gets better. Orlando Viera-Blanco, the newly appointed Venezuelan ambassador to Canada, joins me now from Montreal. Sir, your government has been recognized internationally, but the reality is that President Maduro is still running things on the ground in Venezuela. What are the next steps to try to dislodge him from power?
So the next steps is to understand from Mr. Maduro that the country is already facing the worst crisis, political crisis, economic crisis, and social crisis in the life of Venezuelan people. The next step is to continue with the pressure of the international community in order to convince them that it's time to go, that it's time to take down the power and trying to cooperate with the political transition that is already running in Venezuela.
What happens if that doesn't convince him and he maintains control of the military and the police? At some point, does it reach a threshold where you think there's a potential for violence?
We are in the complex process right now in Venezuela, and one point is for sure the military force in Venezuela, but which is new right now, is that the military forces, you can see they are already with the people. They belong to the people and they are part of the people. You can see in the last protesters in Venezuela in February 2nd, about 2.5 million people protested, and it was not any detention and any kind of repression against the people. That is a sign that the national forces in Venezuela is making decisions nowadays.
Do you believe that the military ultimately will turn against Maduro?
I believe so. I believe that enough is enough. I believe that is a huge lack of humanity in Venezuela. We have 1,135 political prisoners right now. We have a huge starving. We have a huge bad situation on the medical and supply services and terms. So I do believe that national forces in Venezuela, they are part of the consequences of the crisis in Venezuela. So I'm sure that now they're moving to the right side of the history.
President Trump has indicated that all options are on the table, including the possibility of American-backed military action. Canada has taken the opposite position, saying that they don't back a foreign violent intervention. What do you think is the most helpful for the Venezuelan people in terms of threats or promises that might help to dislodge Maduro?
I think that we have to make a responsible distinction here. It's not about military intervention in Venezuela. That is not the issue. The issue is humanitarian surveillance in Venezuela, humanitarian intervention in Venezuela. That's the point right now, and that's the way how we have to see the situation in our country. The coalition of the international community is looking to help, is looking to improve the situation in our community, and that's, for me, is the point. It's not about a military intervention, in my own opinion.
There's significant Russian and Chinese influence in Venezuela around the Maduro government. How much of a role is that playing in the difficulty of your government being able to actually seize power and take command and control of the day-to-day operations of government?
It's a transition that we are living right now. It's a very immense progress that in the just last 10 days, 12 days, Mr. Juan Guaido has making progress. His executive decision just appointed a diplomatic representative around the world. It is an acceptation, already a recognition of more than 50 countries around the world. So it's a process. It's a process in order to look exits, in order to lose a happy ending peacefully and institutionally.
Do you think there's a peaceful ending where Maduro survives if he simply refuses to give up power?
Maduro must to give up. I don't know what's going to be the final decision, but maybe we can anticipate that how all the fact is running out. It's so easy to survive the power with a huge international community just not recognizing Maduro, recognizing Juan Guaidó, just putting in evidence. There is so many criminal issues in Venezuela. It's an international court right now trying to make a decision about investigation against the Maduro government. Is 85%, 90% of the population against Maduro. Is the national forces making a decision and thinking about it? I'm not seeing any government in the history to survive this kind of situation, even as a dictatorship.
We just have a few seconds left, Mr. Ambassador, but the Lima Group recognized your government in part because there was a promise to have free and fair elections. Do you have a sense of when those elections could be called?
We have to realize, and we have to be clear, that in Venezuela is a huge dismantlation of the structure of the state. We have to reconstruct, we have to rebuild the state. We have to put impartial magistrates in the power of the election branch in order to guarantee, in order to guarantee
so there's no timeline
election. Yet. That's right.
Mr. Ambassador, how significant is the humanitarian crisis in Venezuela right now?
Is if the worst, more sensible humanitarian situation that Venezuela ever have in the whole history. We're talking about 80% of the hospital in Venezuela, they don't have medical instrument in order to attend people. We have a huge lack of medicine. We have a huge malpractice and malnutrition in terms of foods in Venezuela. We have a very serious and grave situation with children who die when they just born. We have an inflation with 10 million percentage. It's something unprecedented in the whole hemisphere, in the whole history of Latin America. That is the dimension of the crisis in Venezuela.
What more would you like Canada to do?
Canada is moving forward to many aspects of the humanitarian help. We try to canalize what the good method, the good ways in order to achieve the objective and the goal. We are working together in order to suspend the deportation from Venezuelan people from Canada. We are just working together also in order to push with the international community to move forward in order to get pressure and sanction to finally achieve the goal to return and restore democracy, freedom, and rule of law in Venezuela.
Would you like to see Canada take more Venezuelan refugees?
I see already Canada seeing a lot of measure and a lot of alliance and making the best effort in order to consolidate the final objective of restoration of democracy in Venezuela. Canada is a leader of championship. Canada is already helping a lot, hiding the voices in order to get the freedom and release of the political prisoner. So we are very tight with Canada in this complex process.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mercedes.
Thanks so much for joining us. That's all the time we have for today. For more politics from the West Block, please visit our website, thewestblock.ca, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't forget to check out our podcast, too, which is available wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. For the West Block, I'm Mercedes Stephenson.